My name is Alita Elizondo, and I am the Public Affairs Specialist at the Social Security Administration. So today I'm going to talk to you about your Social Security benefits. So when most people think about Social Security, they think about retirement, and the majority of benefits that we pay out are retirement benefits. So you qualify for retirement benefits because you are paying FICA taxes, or the majority of you are paying FICA taxes. So this is the tax that comes from your paycheck. You pay half of it, 7.65%. Your employer pays the other 7.65%. Of that, we tax you up until the limit in 2024. The limit is $168,600. If you go, this is wrong, it should be $168,600. If you earn more than that, then we stop taking the Social Security tax, but you continue to pay the Medicare tax. So this limit goes up a little bit every year. So how do you become eligible for the retirement benefits through the Social Security Administration? So you become eligible by having at least 40 quarters. Most people will have 40 quarters in about 10 years of work. Besides having the 40 quarters, you have to be at least age 62. So it doesn't matter what your full retirement age is. Everybody can start taking retirement at age 62. So 40 credits, one credit in 2024 equals $1,730 in earnings. You can only earn a maximum of 4 credits per year. So this year, if you make at least $6,920, you will have accumulated the maximum 4 credits. If you make less than that, then you may only get 3, 2, or 1 credit. 10 years of work, 4 credits a year, that should give most people the 40 credits that they need. So everybody's benefit is going to be a little bit different, even if you have worked at the same employers your whole life. And the reason for this is because this is how we calculate your benefit. It's a 3-step process. The very first thing that we do is we bring your wages we adjust them for inflation. So they're adjusted for change in wage levels over time. The second step, after we have adjusted those wages for inflation, and these are the wages throughout your entire lifetime, we find the monthly average of your highest 35 years. Some people think that we use the last 3 years, the last 5 years, the last 10 years. We actually use 35 highest lifelong earnings. If you do not have 35 years, you only need a minimum of 10 years of work, 40 quarters. We will still use the 35 in the computation. That just means that we will add them 0 years to get to the 35 years. So, of course, the more 0 years you have, that is going to lower your monthly benefit. Once we have the highest 35 years, we average them, and that gives us the average index monthly earnings, or the AIM amount. And this is the basis for your monthly benefit amount. So we use the earnings starting with your first job all the way to your last job. So everybody's full retirement age is going to be different depending on their year of birth. The majority of people that we talk to nowadays, their full retirement age is 67. So for the examples that I'm going to use the 67 as a full retirement age, but yours may be different. So one question that we often receive is, what's the best age to start receiving Social Security benefits? And honestly, this isn't something that we can just answer and say, oh, this is best for you and this is best for you. Because honestly, there are lots of things that you need to consider when you're thinking about retirement. Things like your health. Can you afford to retire, or do you need to keep working because the benefit that you're going to get in retirement is going to be less? How about other family members? Will there be other people that will be receiving benefits off of your record? Your family's longevity, you want to take that into consideration, because maybe your family members live a long time into their 90s or 100s. You're going to need to decide, do I wait and get a higher amount, because I may be having to live off of that for a long time. So you want to think about all these things. Your family situation is going to be different. Everybody's is different. Everybody's health is different. Your financial situation is different. So those are all things that are going to differ. So when to start receiving your benefit may not be the same time that somebody else might be receiving their benefit. What will be the same, and what we always tell people, the one thing that you should know is that your monthly benefit amount is going to differ based on the age that you start receiving your benefit. So that we can tell you. So in this example that you see here, this is an example where somebody, after we calculated their highest 35 years, we came up with a monthly amount of $2,000. And this is just an example. So if this person's benefit is $2,000 at their full retirement age of 67, in order to get that full $2,000, they would have to wait until 67. But like I said, you can start drawing it as early as 62. But if this individual, if they start taking it at 62, that's going to be a reduction of about 30%. So they're only going to receive $1,400 a month. And that will be going forward the rest of their life. Some people think, well, I'll take it at 62 and get $1,400. Then at 67, it'll go up to $2,000. No, it does not. If you start taking the reduced amount, you're locked into that amount. The longer you wait, you can see age 63, 64, 65, the benefit increases a little bit each year up until the full amount at age 67. But even between age 67 and 70, the benefit will continue to increase if you hold off on taking the benefit. So if you don't take it at 67, let's say you wait until 70, that benefit increases at about 8% a year. And instead of the $2,000 at 67, at 70, you would receive $2,480. So that's just something to think about. The difference between the amount you get at 62 and at 70 is it's over $1,000 a month. So that's something that you should consider when you're deciding when to start receiving the benefit. So I know that some of you are receiving government pension, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. So the Windfall Elimination provision, or the WEP, that's the provision that affects how we calculate your retirement benefit or your disability benefit. So if you are somebody who did not pay into Social Security, but you paid into your own government pension, then this could affect your benefit. This is when you have that government pension, but you've also worked enough to get 40 quarters, so you may actually get that government pension from your employer and another benefit from Social Security. So how we calculate that benefit from Social Security is the WEP formula. So we use this to adjust your benefit because of that non-covered pension that you are getting. And the way that this changes is the way we do the formula. So for somebody who does not have that government pension, we take 90% of the first $1,174 of that AIM. After that, we take 32% of the next $7,078 and 15% of the remainder. The only step that changes for the Windfall Elimination computation is instead of starting out with 90% of the first $1,174, we start out with 40% of the first $1,174. In 2023, and I don't know why we don't have the 2024 amount here, but in 2023, the maximum reduction for somebody who turned 62 last year is $557. So that's the maximum that we would reduce your Social Security by in 2023. Now, the more substantial years of earnings that you have, the smaller that reduction is going to be. So somebody who has 30 or more years of substantial earnings, and when we talk about substantial earnings, there's a certain amount. So in 2024, the substantial, in order for us to say that's a substantial year of earnings, you would have had to earn $31,275 this year. So if you have 30 or more years, then we're going to use the regular percentage, the 90%. If you have 29, we're going to the percentage we're going to use is 85, all the way down to 20 or fewer substantial years. Then it's the 40% that we just talked about in the example. So these are for people who are getting their own government pension, plus you worked enough to get a Social Security retirement benefit. So how to determine your benefit after the Windfall Elimination? So we have two things. The first one is the publication, the Windfall Elimination provision, and that is just a fact sheet with all the information on there. It includes all the substantial years. If you have a My Social Security account, you can go in there and get all the years that you worked and plug them into our online calculator. If you plug them into your online calculator, you can put the information on the non-covered pension that you're going to get, and that's going to determine what your Social Security benefit is going to be after we do the web calculation. So we have that fact sheet that I will share with you, or the link is right here. And if you have the My Social Security account, which I hope everybody does, you can use that online calculator. So Social Security also gives benefits to your family. We have benefits for spouses. The maximum that a spouse can receive from the worker's earnings are 50% of the worker's unreduced benefit. So the unreduced benefit would be that $2,000 that I used in the example. So as a spouse could get half of that, or about $1,000 from the worker. So in order to get 50% of the worker's unreduced benefit, the spouse has to be full retirement age, so most likely 67. They can take it earlier, but it won't be 50%. It will be a reduced amount. And when there is a spouse claiming on the worker's record, this doesn't reduce the worker's benefit. The worker would get their full amount, and then the spouse would get up to 50%. The only time that we don't reduce the spouse's benefit is if the spouse has a young child under the age of 16 or a disabled child of the worker that they are caring for. So in this case, if there is a young child that the spouse is caring for, then they would get the 50%. It wouldn't be reduced no matter how young they are. In order for the spouse to start receiving the benefits on the worker's record, the spouse has to be collecting a benefit also. Now, one other thing, if we look to see what the spouse can get on their own record, if they can get more than the 50% on their own, then we're only going to pay them their own and not the spousal benefit. Same thing for an ex-spouse. So if this is a divorced spouse, there's a little bit of difference for this. So when the couple is divorced, again, they can receive the benefit on the worker's record only if the marriage lasted at least 10 years. If they divorce before the 10 years, then there are no spousal benefits payable. The ex-spouse, not the worker, the ex-spouse has to be unmarried. The worker could have remarried once, twice, as many times as they want to. It doesn't matter. But the ex-spouse who's claiming the benefits as a spouse has to be unmarried. For this benefit, the worker doesn't have to be drawing a benefit. They just have to be eligible. So to be eligible, they have to be at least 62 years or older. And again, your ex-spouse has to be at least 62 and eligible before you can start collecting on this benefit. And we're also going to look to see what you can receive on your own before we pay you the ex-spouse's benefit. So we do that calculation for both the spousal and the ex-spousal benefit. So in this example, Kelly's own full retirement age benefit is $800. Her spouse's benefit at full retirement age is $2,000. So we take half of Kelly's spouse, which would be $1,000, and that's the maximum at their full retirement age, and then minus what Kelly can get on her own record, which is $800, and that leaves $200 that would be payable from the spouse to Kelly. If Kelly's own benefit would be $1,200, then there would be nothing payable as a spouse because she can get her own more on her own record. So we will do this computation. And after we do this computation, because most spouses now, both of them tend to have a higher benefit or at least more than half of what they could get as a spouse, we really don't pay too many spousal benefits out anymore, but it is available. We also pay benefits for children. So when a worker is disabled, deceased, or retired, we can pay the children, unmarried children under the age of 18 or 19-year-olds who are still in high school. or 18-year-olds who are disabled before the age of 22. So these are the children of the worker that could receive a benefit if the parent worked long enough and if they're disabled or retired. Social Security also pays benefits to survivors. So again, we pay the minor children under the age of 18, 19-year-olds still in high school, disabled children who became disabled before they turned 22. We also pay a surviving spouse or widower benefit. So this benefit doesn't start at age 62. This one can actually start at age 60. So it's possible to start receiving a survivor benefit at age 60 or even at age 50 if the spouse is disabled, or at any age if the spouse is caring for a child of the deceased worker who is under the age of 16 or has a disability. So this is a benefit that you don't have to wait until 62. You can actually draw it sooner. So when you pass away, your surviving spouse may claim survivor benefits as early as 50 if they're disabled, otherwise age 60. So at age 60, they're not going to receive 100% of your benefit, that full $2,000. They're only going to receive 71.5% of your full benefit amount. And that amount will continue to increase the closer they get to full retirement age. So in this example, the spouse to get 100% would have to wait until age 67 and not file before that. So that's something that some people who are eligible for a survivor benefit and also a spousal benefit may decide to take one and let the other one continue to increase. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a little bit. So two other benefits that we also offer. We offer the $255 one-time payment to a surviving spouse. If there is a surviving spouse, we pay the full $255 to that spouse. If there is no spouse and there are eligible children again are the minors, the ones in high school, or the ones disabled before age 22, then we will divide the $255 among the children. We do not pay ex-spouses or adult children or any other relatives is $255. One other benefit that we rarely hear about, but it is available, is a parent's benefit. So this benefit is for a parent age 62 or older who is receiving at least one half support from their child who passed away. So if you have a child that you are their dependent and they are claiming you as their dependent on their taxes every year, if that child passes away, you could potentially receive a benefit on that child. Only if you're eligible for more on your child's record and not on your own record, then we could pay you. If you're eligible for more on your own, then that's not payable. So there are differences between the spouse when the worker is living and the spouse when the worker is deceased. So when the worker is living, the spouse has to be 62 years old to claim it. When the worker has passed away, they can get it as early as age 50 if they're disabled, otherwise 60, or any age if they have that minor child that they are taking care of under the age of 16. The maximum that a spouse can receive while the worker is living is 50%. And that's only if they wait until their full retirement age. If they start taking it before full retirement age, there will be a reduction and they will get less than 50%. For the surviving benefit, they can start taking it at age 60 or 50, but it will be reduced. They will get 71.5%. Again, in order to get the full 100%, they have to be full retirement age or 67. So some people will be eligible for their own retirement benefit, and then they may also be eligible for a survivor benefit. So if this is your situation, make sure that when you're filing for benefits that you let us know this. Because what we could do is we could figure out what your benefit will be right now if you retire, and later if you wait, what your benefit as the survivor could be now and later. So a lot of times what a person will do is they will start taking the survivor benefit and let their own record increase up until age 70 and then switch over to that higher amount and continue to get that the rest of their life, or the other way around. Survivors are the only ones that are able to do that, switch between one or the other or choose one or the other. So the government pension offset is, this is for people who receive a government pension based on work not covered by Social Security, but you're also applying for a spouse's, a widow's, or a widower's benefit. That benefit that you're applying as a spouse or a widow could be reduced or eliminated completely. So how does the government pension offset work? So what we do is we take 2/3 of the amount of your non-covered pension, and then we figure out what you could be due as a spouse. We take the amount that you're due as a spouse, we subtract the non-covered pension, 2/3 of the non-covered pension, and that leaves us with how much we will pay you. So in this case, this person gets a pension of $2,100 from their non-covered work. 2/3 of that is $1,400. As a spouse, they're due $1,150. If you take $1,450 minus $1,150, there is nothing. Wait, no. 2/3 is $1,400. Okay, no, we take $1,150 and subtract the $1,400, which is the 2/3, and that leaves us with nothing. That means that there would be no benefit payable as a spouse or a survivor. So this is one benefit where you could figure it out because we have a GPO calculator, and you can put in your information and it will give you an estimate. I would say that this is one benefit where a lot of times, because the government pensions tend to be larger and the spousal benefits tend to be lower, a lot of times it's totally offset and there are no benefits payable. But use the calculator and you can check that out. So the difference between the WEP and the GPO, the WEP applies when you have 40 quarters and you also get that government pension. That reduction will never be reduced to zero. We change the way we do the computation, but it's never where you don't get anything from the work that you've done and paid into Social Security. The GPO, it's not, we don't change the way we do the calculation, we offset it. So it is possible that after we do the offset of the 2/3 reduction, you may be left with zero and nothing may be payable. So the Medicare. This is the Medicare that everybody receives at age 65, or the majority of people qualify at age 65. The card is going to show the hospital, which is the A, the medical, which is the B, and when the coverage begins. Coverage always begins on the first of the month. This premium amount is wrong. It is not $164.90. In 2024, it is $174.70, and it increases a little bit every year. So most people will become eligible for Social Security when they turn 65. But we also have people who become eligible for Medicare when they've been on disability benefits after 2 years. People who have ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease also become eligible for Medicare, or people who have kidney failure and are on dialysis. They also become eligible for the Medicare. So with the Medicare, we have enrollment periods. So we have 3 enrollment periods. The initial enrollment period consists of 7 months. 3 months before your 65th birthday, the month you turn 65, and 3 months after. If you want the Medicare and you want the Medicare to start right with the month that you turn 65, you need to enroll in one of the 3 months before your 65th birthday. If you enroll in one of the 3 months before your 65th birthday, your Medicare can begin on the first of the month that you turn 65. If you enroll the month you turn 65 or any of the 3 months after, your Medicare will begin the month after you enroll. Now, some people will not enroll in the Part B because they are covered either under their own group health plan or a spouse's group health plan. In that case, you should enroll for Part A because Part A there is no premium. Most people have been paying into that over the years, and the Medicare Part A, which is the hospital part, is free. So enroll in Part A, and you can delay enrolling in Part B. Later on, when you are either retiring and you will cover, you have the group health plan, or maybe your spouse is retiring and spouse's group health plan, we will give you a special enrollment period. The special enrollment period consists of 8 months. So from the time the coverage ends under the group health plan, you have 8 months to enroll in Medicare without a penalty. We always tell people, in order to avoid any lapse in coverage, make sure that you contact us either the month that you stop being covered or the month after, because then you get a choice of when you want the coverage to begin. Otherwise, if you enroll in any of the other 8 months, then the coverage will begin the month after you enroll. If you miss the initial enrollment and you miss a special or you don't get a special, then every year we open it up for the general enrollment period. The enrollment runs January 1st through March 31st. The coverage will begin the month after you enroll. At this point, if you're enrolling during the general enrollment period, you may be paying a penalty because you missed your own enrollment. The penalty is 10% per year for every 12-month period that you went without the Medicare and were not covered under a group health plan through work. So there may be a penalty that you are paying if you're enrolling in the general enrollment period. Now, all these benefits for Medicare, for retirement, for spousal and disability, and you can do this all online. The easiest way to apply for any of our benefits is to go to SSA.gov and file the application online. If you want to speak to somebody or you want to set up an appointment, our nationwide number has people answering it, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., Monday through Friday. I would call later in the month, later in the week, and later in the day. You will get through a lot quicker. The only two benefits that you cannot file for online is the children's benefit and the survivor benefit. For those, you need an appointment, so call us and we will set that up for you. If you have not been to our web page, this is what the web page looks like. It's broken up into 3 sections: the section where you prepare for your benefits, the section that you apply, and the section where you manage your benefits. Make sure you're going to SSA.gov and not SSA.com because you will end up somewhere else. If you do not have a My Social Security account, I encourage everybody to open this up. Open up a My Social Security account. In the past, we used to send out the monthly or the yearly statements every year. We stopped doing that. If you want to see what your estimate is going to be for your future benefits, you will have to open up a My Social Security account because we are no longer sending those statements out. We only send them out to people who are 60 or older who do not have an online account. So some people will say, well, I'm 60 or older and I didn't get one. It's probably because you set up an account and forgot your password. If that's the case, you can call us. We will cancel out your old password and username, and you can start over with a new account. Nothing gets lost. The information is just there. You just lose your access if you don't know what your username or password is. We're actually updating all these accounts too. We're doing away with the username and password, and we're using the login.gov now, which is what most governments use. So go ahead and set up a My Social Security account. When you are in there, there's 2 things I want you to look at. On the left side of your statement, you're going to see all the estimates for different ages of when you can start receiving benefits. So you're going to get an estimate of what you could receive at age 62 and every year after up until age 70. So this is what you will be based on the earnings that we have for you over your lifetime. I also want you to look on the right-hand side because this is going to contain all the earnings that you have paid into Social Security since your very first job. We want you to look this over and review it every year because sometimes we find that people do not look at this every year, and by the time they go here to look, they've already discovered that there are earnings missing or that somebody else might be working under their social. So review this every year, make sure that whatever is appearing here is your information because that's what we are going to use to pay you your benefits when you are retirement age. If you are on social media, follow us on Facebook, X, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube at Social Security. And this information is current as of today, but of course, things change. To keep up to date with the information, visit us at SSA.gov. And if you have any questions, I am happy to answer them.
Thank you so much, Alita. There have been lots of questions. I don't know if you can take a minute. I think we have a couple minutes if you want to look through them. I do think logging into your account online and looking at your statement will probably answer a lot of the questions that were thrown out here, because it'll give you your personal information, your personal salary history, and your estimated benefit, and all of that good stuff is there. So I do think that takes care of many of the questions. But if you could take a minute to glance through them, Alita, I think it would be worth it.
This is loading right now.
And they'd like to see the phone number again. I can do that. Let's see.
Yeah.
Actually, out on the website right now.
You know what? I just see a bunch of scribbles. Like all my letters are X's and scribbles. I don't see any actual.
So how do they schedule an appointment? Is one.
Okay, the number, it's 1-800-772-1213. And just going to SSA.gov, you can actually schedule an appointment on our webpage.
Okay.
Oh,
Someone's 3 highest years at ETF are different than their earnings tax for Social Security. Social Security is lower. Not sure if that's something you can help with, or payroll.
And you can call us. You can call us and ask any of these questions. We will flip your record, and a lot of times we can figure out why it is. Because a lot of times maybe you earned over the limit, and then we stop taking Social Security taxes. It's only going to show what you pay taxes on. It's not going to show the higher amount that you continue to earn.
Right.
Yeah, that might be one reason. But you're right. Our webpage has a frequently asked questions section. And in that frequently asked questions section, a lot of the questions that you might have will be answered there in detail with examples, because we get a lot of the same questions over and over. I don't know why all I see are like scribbles, X's, zeros.
Yeah. That's interesting. Here's one. Can you contribute to an HSA if you sign up for Medicare A?
No. And that's an IRS rule. If you are in an HSA, you do not want to sign up for Medicare. You could, if you have some money in that account, still use it after you sign up for Medicare, but you can no longer contribute. That's a very good question.
Okay. And can you address, we did have a couple people asking kind of the $1 million question, what is Social Security going to look like in 30, 40 years? How do you normally respond to that, Alita?
The way we respond is, I honestly am not worried that Social Security is going to be there. We've been here before. We know that changes have to be made. We know that Congress has to make these changes. And if you go to our webpage and go to our actuary page, you will actually see some of the ideas that they are kind of looking at. One of the things that they are thinking about is, like I mentioned, there's a limit to when we stop taking that Social Security tax, 164, I think. So maybe raising that limit, or maybe even eliminating it completely, so people who earn more than that will continue to pay that Social Security tax instead of just the Medicare tax. That's one of the proposals, or one of the ideas there. Another one that I've heard everywhere on YouTube, on TikTok, is raising the full retirement age. These are just ideas until they actually, start, Congress usually waits until the last minute to do these things, but I'm sure that something will be done. If absolutely nothing gets done by 2035, we will only be able to pay 85% of the benefits payable. Benefits won't be completely stopped, but we will only be able to pay 85% of the benefit. So we know people depend on it. We have millions of people that every single month this is their sole income that they have. It shouldn't be that way, but we do have people who depend on this for their livelihood every single day. So we know that, something has to be done, and I think it will be done to protect this benefit for everybody.
Awesome. Okay, I think that's the perfect place to end, Alita. Thank you so much.
Yes.